Good morning, everybody. My name is Charlie Pan, Chief Materials Engineer, NDOT from Nevada. At first, I'd like to acknowledge Zach. Since first time I was here back in 2015, that I was shocked by hear somebody shouting in the back, say, microphone. So that's when I noticed Zach, he has been working on this probably longer than I attend this meeting. So over those years, he always helped us to get everything working. So I would like everybody give hands to him to acknowledge his contribution to the meeting. Okay, thank you. So at first, just a brief description about Nevada DOT. We are similar to rest of the Rocky Mountain West state. In front of state of Alaska, I don't think any of us dare to say we are a large state, right? But we have a 6 operational area, basically divided into 3 districts. We have total about 1,800 total position, but right now, we got close to 20% vacancy, especially in the maintenance area. I will mention that later during the presentation, how that affects our pavement preservation work. And we have approximately 5,400 centerline miles that turn into close to 14,000 lane miles. Annual budget total about $6 million for everything. 65% of that goes to construction project, and we are governed by the Transportation Board, which lead by the governor. So most of the project list, approved list, have to go through the board to get approval. So our funding largely rely on federal funding, but the state can contribute about half of that. Planning, that's one of the section in NDOT, which starting with everything about how we manage the roadway system, how we identify the roadway inventory, and that's when we start the planning process, like similar to other states. We have statewide multimodal long-range plan. We have statewide transportation improvement plan, STIP. All that, and the pavement preservation or pavement rehabilitation, that's part of it to get approval. But the process is we, as an engineer, determine the priority, come up with the list, then get approved. So when everything get approved, that goes to engineering project delivery section. That have a total of 11 divisions, which including design, project management, hydraulics, structures, location, right-of-way, and the construction division. And one of the most important things that relate to pavement preservation from that section is they were in charge to deliver pavement preservation project, and the project is lead by the 3R team to determine which project to deliver and what kind of strategy or scope, including in the project. In the meantime, the department policy is whenever we have a major rehabilitation on the roadway, we always including safety, ADA, hydraulics, stormwater, landscape, bike path project lump into the pavement preservation, pavement rehabilitation project. So when you see the budget, which is not only including the payment part, also including the rest of the improvement that's related to the department. Okay, now go to the third section, which is operation, including equipment, traffic op, materials division. That's where I'm coming from. So in materials division, we are in charge of both payment design and the payment management. So on the payment design part, that's give a recommendation on the rehabilitation strategy for the major rehab. And the payment management section, as you all know, collect the payment data, doing the distress survey, and come up with the performance prediction on the payment management, within the payment management system. So as you can see here, that in operation, also in charge of updating transportation asset management plan temp. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were told that the new rule making from federal is every state is supposed to come up with transportation asset management plan. And I think that gives us a good opportunity to run an exercise to review our inventory, right? I mean, every state has its own payment management system. We have a different way to manage our payment, predict the performance, come up with the rehabilitation or preservation recommendation. But we never doing an overall review on our assets. So throughout the process, we understand how much asset we have and what's the current condition of it, and what should we do looking into future based on the assessment, and come up with a plan, how much money we should spend, and what kind of a payment condition we would expect in 5 to 10 years. And that also help us to communicate with upper management, also the transportation board, that just tell them, look, this is the current condition of the payment, and this is how much money we be able to spend. If we keep spending the same amount of money, the payment condition will deteriorate after 10 years to this. So it's your decision whether we should keep spending a limited amount of money, or we should put in more money to maintain our asset, to maintain our payment and the bridge condition. So after that, we have a pretty good support on funding to help us to maintain our payment condition to the current status. So, and also that we also got support on the payment preservation is throughout the maintenance and asset management, they be able to deliver a smaller project that only focus on payment preservation, like chip seal, slurry seal, microsurfacing, cape seal, or a thin overlay that's only focused on improvement payment condition. With the additional funding on that part of the program, we will be able to deliver the project faster and improve the payment condition better. Okay, so before I go into funding, here is when 30 years ago, when we only have a limited funding, we have to make a decision on which role that we should put higher priority to maintain at a better condition. So basically, we come up with 5 different categories. The top category is control assets, which is expressway and interstate. That consists about 12% of the system. Then keep going down, even though, as you can see here, there's a definition based on ESO and the AADT, but I think that's a backwards thinking process. We determine which role is more important or less important first, then come up with those definitions to support the prioritization category. Okay, so here is an overall condition currently. So as you can see that NDOT payment management system use a PSI rating, so which is 0 to 5. So you can see similar to PCI rating, you have a very good, fair, mediocre, poor, and very poor. So currently, our state legislature approved goal for our payment system is 95% fair or better on category 1, 90% fair or better on category 2, and so on all the way to category 5. As you can see here, when you go to a lower category, which means like a category 4 or 5, that we have a lesser expectation on the payment condition, because that reflects road users' view on those roads, right? Some of the roads that you only got 10 cars a day, so there's not much expectation that you want to keep it at a good condition, and it's not economical to spend the same amount of money to bring the lower category road into the same serviceability as the interstate. That's why we have those different goals, and it pretty much match our current road condition. As you can see on the second row from the bottom, that we pretty much meet the minimum requirement on category 1 to category 4, except category 5 we are lag behind, and people understand that. And that's where we can use the most of the payment preservation money to improve the condition of the payment. That's the best bang for the buck. So we don't want to spend expensive money to reconstruct those roads that not too many people use every day. Okay, so here is a detail on the funding that's related to payment repair work for fiscal year 2022. So as you can see here, as I mentioned before, we got two big categories. One is for repair, payment repair work, which is the betterment job that's mainly focused on improved payment condition. In fiscal year 22, we have about 25 million budgeted on that. That will improve overall of 290 centerline mile. On the other side, we spend about $120 million on the rehabilitation work, which can be regular mill and overlay, mill and fill, all the way to reconstruction. And as I mentioned before, that type of project will incorporate a lot of safety, environment, hydraulic improvement into it. So the overall improvement is about 140 centerline mile. The overall is total improvement about 430 centerline mile and about 150 million on that fiscal year. So if you look at the bottom information, back in 2015 and 2016, for 2 years, we spent 186 million, so which means it's about $93 million a year. So you can see a big improvement on the spending, and also the centerline mile that's improved is basically double. So you can see here, when we spend more money on payment preservation, that will help you improve more mileage of the road, but spend the same amount of money, you can do more. So basically, that's what this figure shows. Okay, now I'll talk about success story. That I like to use the definition from EDC 6 about innovation implementation stage definition. So can be from institutionalized, that's everything you already know very well, all the way to development stage. That's how familiar you are with it. Are you trying it? Do you get a good feedback from it? So for all those different stages, I would like to put that in detail. So the first one, institutionalized stage. Just like everybody else, we use strip seal, slurry, micro thin overlay, or even coal-in-place recycling as like every day. That's already built into the spec, and we are comfortable use one of those strategies based on the payment and the traffic conditions. So that's something we already familiar with. And beyond that, recently we are working on a crack attenuating mixture, which means a 1-inch thick hot mix asphalt with 80 to 100% pass number 4 sieve. So it's a really fine mix. That we try to use that as to try to prevent reflective cracking going through the pavement. So if you have a job that you originally consider doing a 3-inch mill and fill, now you can have 1-inch, use this material, and the top 2-inch, just use your regular dense graded mix and expect to get a better crack resistance throughout the life of the overlay. So as you can see right here, the specification not only have a volumetric property with very low air void content, we also including some durability tests during the mix design stage. On the bottom of the table, you can see we have a fatigue test, we have Texas overlay test there, and we also have a different criteria based on different asphalt we use. Just like to mention that in the state of Nevada, we basically only use 2 types of polymer modified asphalt. PG 7622MV used mainly on southern part of the state, and the PG 64-28MV, that's for rest of the state on the northern part. So we have 2 different criteria based on the stiffness of the asphalt. So right now we have 3 demonstration project that's already finished, and right now we are evaluating the benefit of it and try to come up with a life cycle cost. Then we can use that compared to a regular weight of 3-inch straight mill and overlay, or compared to other strategy like a coal-in-place recycling with overlay to see if we get more benefit from this specialty mix. So that's still in the assessment stage. And the demonstration stage, that's something we like to try. Haven't put on the ground, but we hope it will succeed. So this is the thin overlay on concrete, ultra thin bonded wearing course. And this is the one like a few people mentioned about spray paver. So we have used this type of mix in Las Vegas pretty often, but mainly on asphalt pavement. So this time, we will try to put on top of the concrete pavement. As you can see on the photo, the concrete pavement, the surface is still relatively good, just got a huge crack in the middle, which we try stitching it. The stitching doesn't work, and the maintenance keep patch the huge crack, and their comment is they don't want the concrete layer anymore. They want us to rubberize it and overlay it. So we are thinking if we can use the thin overlay that bring back the serviceability because it's still structurally sound concrete pavement. That way, number 1, we can save money. Number 2, we can try something new to see if that will work. So in addition to spray paver and modified tackle, we also come up with a highly modified asphalt spec that's similar to what Utah used for their HIMA project. So this will apply on the concrete pavement. The project expect to get into construction next year, so we will see how successful we are. If we like it, we will use it more on the northern part of the state, because in Las Vegas, we already utilize asphalt rubber open grade, the ACFC, that's 100% designed by Arizona DOT, that in Las Vegas to overlay concrete pavement as a rehab strategy. But on the northern part, since we have a freeze-thaw cycle there, so we try to use something different, see if we can get similar benefit compared to asphalt rubber. Okay, development stage, and recently we just got a request from upper management ask us to look into chip seal warranty project. So here is a brief description on our chip seal program. For this fiscal year, we have a total of $20 million work program on chip seal, which 40%, so $8 million is done by State Force, just similar to New Mexico DOT's in-house program that the crew does the work and just rent the equipment and purchase the material, and the $12 million that's contracted out. But since we have a high vacancy, as I mentioned at the beginning, so we are asking if we can have a warranty project. Maybe we can reduce the staff for inspection, acceptance activity during the construction works, and we don't have to hire consultants, spend extra money on those chip seal jobs. Just give you an example on how expensive to hire consultant to run construction augmentation. So $40,000, you cannot get a pickup truck this day. And the $40,000, that's more than we pay for entry-level maintenance worker now per year, which require a commercial driver's license to stay on the job. And we have to spend $40,000 pay to the consultant to have an inspector in the middle of nowhere to inspect a crack seal job. So that's how much money we spend on because of a shortage on manpower. So that motivates us to look into warranty project. Hope we can save some money up front, and we can place more chip seal on the payment in the state. So the first thing we're looking at is Idaho Department of Transportation's chip seal warranty spec, and their spec basically is a visual inspection after a season, so to determine whether it's a contractor's responsibility or not. So that's something we are looking into, and during the last few days, I heard about Oregon's approach on chip seal warranty. That's very interesting, but I think we probably need more training and waiting for more information to make sure we are ready to do the performance specification, because we never done it before. We never require a chip seal make design, and we never have any tests after the placement to determine whether it's acceptable. All we have is test the oil, test the rock, and make sure the application rate, all that kind of a process control thing, but not a performance test for acceptance. So here, I would like to get any recommendation or comments on my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Hashim Faidi from New Mexico DOT Pavement Bureau. Charlie, do you have like a pavement management system like you use, like the Agile, or like or like you just use the spreadsheet or Access database? How you manage your the condition of your pavement?
Okay, our payment management system is developed in-house. Currently, we are in transition from an Oracle database to Agile Asset. But yes, in our payment management system, which has three big parts, right? The first one is inventory and the history. Mm-hmm. The second part is the distress. All the distress and all the traffic, weather information that keep updating annually into that. And the third part is the recommendation, right? Based on the current condition and age, what type of recommendation work need to be done. So the payment management system give us a startup. So every other year when we reviewing our payment conditions, start coming out with that list for payment preservation and the payment rehabilitation work, we use our PMS system, come up with a list first based on what's in the system, but we all know there's a lag between you collect the data and what payment looks like now. So after that, you still require a field visit to identify and decide the priority. You may have 100 project lists from the payment management system, but overall, you can only deliver 10 projects. So you still rely on somebody, the input, either both from the engineer, district, and also we like to get balance between different districts.
So you manage all that, you manage the materials and you manage the payment management system, or you have some, it's an internal, so you have it internally, the
yes.
payment management system. So you manage that, or you have help from the district? Or how you do that?
Well, payment management system is controlled by headquarters by us. In district, they are responsible to input data into another system called maintenance management system, and that information will upload into payment management system, so we know when the state force did a chip seal or when they did the crack seal, all that kind of information.
So this will be reflected on your condition, on your PCI, for example.
Yes. Well, the condition is based on distress survey. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how you develop you mentioned your TAMP. How you develop that? You develop it also internally, or you?
Well, we hire consultant, but they still rely on our information to put on the report. So we have to provide those information. For example, what's the current condition? What's the performance prediction after 10 years? That's still coming from us. Then they will help us to come up with an estimate or assessment on, NDOT needs to spend this amount of money for the next 10 years in order to keep the payment condition at current condition, right? AKA status quo.
In your pavement, in your TAMP, when you put, like, as you said, the performance of your assets, so you include pavement and bridge. You don't. So this is
that's two is the minima, and you can also add another thing. So this time I know our department also add in ITS, Intelligent Transportation System, into it. But their approach is not really inventory. Their approach is based on life expectancy. For example, a camera, they expect it only lasts 5 years, so they budget it. Every 5 years, I need to replace that camera, so how much money I need annually to keep all ITS equipment up to date.
What's the, Greg Duncan, Applied Pavement Technology, just wondering on your warranted chip seal, what's the acceptance criteria going to be after?
Currently, we try to adopt Idaho Transportation Department's manual. They have a visual inspection saying this looks acceptable, this looks not acceptable. That's the best thing I think we can adopt immediately. If we want to go forward with some specific quantitative tests, then that require training, right, or have the standard. So that may take longer time, but the visual inspection that can be achieved immediately.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.